Yeah, there you go. All right, so we're gonna do it live. We're I don't know what to tell you about Allie Burns. You're on the Morning Wood. What the hell? I gotta get to her banners. I'm all screwed up. This is Morning Wood without Allie Burns. She is the plus money honey. She will be here shortly, I'm sure. She had technical difficulties yesterday. I'm sure she's probably just having that. She has more technical difficulties than anybody. And that's not a knock on her. It's just, if it could go wrong in her computer, it would go wrong in her computer.
Hey, hang on a second. Let me just fix that for a second.
There you go. I'm going to turn my light off up here. I wasn't ready to go live.
It's all good. So, Lunny, is this banner better?
I got pants on, people, just so you know.
Is this better?
Without Allie Burns. There you go.
Yeah, without Allie Burns. There you go. Now, my question is, if I don't say anything to her, how long will that be there before she realizes that I added it? That's the question.
Man, don't get, because I'll get blamed for that. Everybody in the record
I'll change it back.
I was standing up and away from my computer when he did this.
I'll change it back. I'm just curious. But either way, as for the contest, I don't know if Lenny's keeping track or probably nobody's keeping track. So
put that stuff on the Facebook page.
Put it on the Facebook page, or I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm just the guest on the show. I just got promoted to guest host. So
somebody yelled sugar balls in the chat, so I figured I had to do something. Don't forget about her sponsor, free bet up to $1,250. Win or lose, you get 1,000 reward credits, 1,000 tier credit points. Use the promo code Woodful. That'll get you all that stuff. Like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, all that good jazz. He's Scott Reichel.
How you doing?
At Reichel Radio. Scott, what do you got going on today?
Well, for the most part, tennis and a little bit of basketball sprinkled in there. I see you're wearing the Red Wings jersey or sweatshirt.
Yep.
I'm aware you have to, but your team kind of waved the flag on the season. So Are you rooting for them to lose now, or you're just always rooting them to win every time?
I'm rooting for them to win today.
Okay.
Not the rest of the season, but I can't stand the Blackhawks that much that we can't go out like we can't just pack it. We can plan the golf tourney. We can plan the vacations on the off season, all that stuff, but we're not going on them yet. So we still have hockey to play. Still got about, I think, 20 some games or so left, maybe less than about 18, maybe. I don't know. But that being said, I'm on the Wings. My favorite bet of the day is over 5.5 in the Wings game.
Okay. I
don't mean to be a homer.
Yeah.
But neither team play is really sloppy play equals goals.
Well, I can agree with that, but for me, I think there might be a little bit of value on Chicago. I just think that money line's way too high for a Detroit team that's basically punted on the season. So that price seems a bit off to me. So I would lean to the Blackhawks in that spot for value, maybe plus 1.5 if you want to just go for a safe option. I faded the Blackhawks last game. I took Ottawa. They lost 5-0. Blackhawks decided to show up and they buried them. And to make matters worse, it was the first time this year that I faded the Blackhawks. And a guy with the same last name as me scored a goal for Chicago.
Oh, I saw you post that on Twitter.
I don't know. I never heard of the guy.
How does this happen? How does
Lucas, I think Lucas Reichel. It's pronounced differently than my last name, and he's German, but I don't think we're related, but he scored against me in the one time I bet against Chicago this season, which is an omen of all omens there. So I don't think I can bet against Chicago for the rest of the season.
Yeah, for sure that's a sign. I honestly, in the NHL today, I like all three dogs. I don't hate all three dogs. I don't hate them except for the Wings. Obviously, Chicago won. There's only 3 games tonight, but I really like Minnesota. And I think Vancouver's better than Anaheim. Every NHL team is better than Anaheim, but I don't know if they're minus 200 better than Anaheim. That's, I think, my argument with the Wings Chicago, to your point, was I agree that the Wings aren't minus 200 plus better than Chicago. I think this game should be priced like minus 130 for the Wings.
Yeah, I think that game is the most mispriced. Now, the big reason why Winnipeg and why Vancouver are such big favorites is because Minnesota and Anaheim played yesterday. So they're on a back-to-back. Minnesota had the most brutal loss you could have, which is losing 1-0 via shootout, which is just so annoying. It means you had 0 goals in the entire game for 65 minutes and you lost in a shootout. So Fleury should be in net because Gustafsson was in net yesterday. So just keep that in mind. Winnipeg, though, has fallen off a cliff. I really don't think that team is good. They won that high-scoring battle against Edmonton. They split that two-game home series there. But Winnipeg might fall out of the playoff picture. They've been that bad. So I do think there might be some value on Minnesota, especially with Fleury being decent this season. Gustafson's been a lot better, obviously, but Fleury's been good. Minnesota's won each of the first 2 meetings by 3+ goals. So I do agree with you on Minnesota, but a big reason why the line is that big is because you had an overtime game yesterday, you're using the backup goalie, and Winnipeg's at home. Winnipeg's been good at home. I just don't think they're a good team. I think that they're a basic bottom-of-the-barrel playoff team that's going to sneak in because the Western Conference is pretty weak. It would not surprise me if they fall out because I'm really not sold on that overall team. But I think Minnesota has some value. The only value I see in the Ducks game is the over in saves for Dostal probably because Gibson played yesterday. If you've blindly taken the Anaheim goalie over in saves, you've made a ton of money all season long. Anaheim's allowing roughly 40 shots per game, which might be the NHL record for shots allowed. I've mentioned it before on the show. If you just blindly take the goalie saves over for Anaheim, you've been printing money all season long.
And I mean, he's just getting peppered. I mean,
they give up so many shots. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they give up 4 goals a game on average, just over whatever. But it's not like. Here's the thing. I don't think they're bad goalies necessarily. They're not horrible. Don't get me wrong. There's no defense though in front of them. It is like they're just teeing off on this goalie, or on all of them in Anaheim. I mean, any one of them. But what else I was going to say about the Anaheim game? The Anaheim Ducks and the Vancouver Canucks. I do like that over. I know it's at 6.5. I took both the other games over 5.5 as well. Minnesota's been playing towards the unders a lot lately, but I think they scream like they're one game away from breaking out and having like a lot of goals in a game. And I feel like after first of all, I think they should have won that game. They were offsides in overtime. They scored a goal. They got to take it back because they were offsides.
They also outshot Calgary by like 15-20 in that game. They dominated play for most of it, but they still lost.
And that's why I was getting that kind of thing. Is I think that they are really. I think they're a playoff cuss team. As far as my Wings go, I felt the same way about Vancouver that I felt about my Wings. Like they're a bottom of the barrel team, maybe fighting to get in a wild card. That's what I thought for my Wings. And at some point we were fighting to get in a wild card like a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
You had no expectations preseason though. So
right,
it wasn't
exactly.
That's
what I'm saying. Preseason, I had this conversation with Nick Earle, and I'm like, look, the Wings are going to be a bubble team. They're right there fighting to get in the playoffs. They won't go anywhere once they get in, but they'll be like right there. And that's where they are right now. Now, this last week, they've just fallen off, and I know I'm going to sound like a homer here when I say this. I love the fact that Steve Yzerman, our general manager, is very transparent, said, look, we ain't going nowhere this year. So I'm not going to be a buyer at the trade deadline. I'm a seller at the trade deadline because I'm trying to stockpile and I'm trying to build like a future here, not just win one.
Well, and most importantly, besides trading some pieces for picks, you also were able to re-sign Larkin for about 8 years?
8, yeah. It's I think it's 8 years, 8.8 million or 8.7. He's a $9 million man. That's how I just call it. He's just under $9 million. I think he took a little bit of a hometown discount.
The point is you have some future plans despite deciding to wave the flag on the season, which is a nice combo. But I see people posting the last Woody standing picks. Yeah, you guys can post them if you want to just share your action. But I know I'm not keeping track of the last Woody picks today.
I'm not.
So.
What'll happen is she'll probably rewatch the show and check the comments. But to be safe, if I was you guys, I'd put them in the Facebook page. If you're in last Woody, if you're in that contest, put them on the Facebook page. Everybody knows what the Facebook page is. So if you guys are still putting in last Woody comments, you're not watching or listening to what I'm telling you. Stop putting them in.
You can put in picks without the LWS and just share your favorite picks if you want to.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
that's
we're
what
not going to stop
doing.
you from doing that. But
I'm going to start at the top of the chat. Tell us what you're on in college basketball. just kind of catch up in the chat here. But
college basketball, I've actually been kind of slacking on lately because I've been focusing more on the
What?
NBA and with hockey. Yeah, college basketball, it's weird because usually I'm very deep into it, but I think it's the lack of overall just elite talent in terms of teams at the top. I haven't
Okay.
really fully gone into it this year. It's just a situation where usually there's a couple of teams that I find early on that I can tell, like, oh, these teams are world beaters. They're going to go to the Final Four. They're going to dominate. I really just haven't seen that this year. Houston, I think, is the closest to a team like that, but offensively, we saw it against Memphis. They also go through some lulls offensively where they just have a hard time scoring for 3-4 minutes, and then they get into foul trouble all the time. And it's a trade-off because their defense is so good, but they give a bunch of fouls. So there's a couple of teams that I was kind of somewhat tempted by for conference tournament season. First of all, shout out to Merrimack for winning the conference, but not going to the tournament again. I hate the 4-year transition rule. I think it's one of the dumbest rules in all of sports. But shout out to Merrimack. Shout out to Earle Roberts, and shout out to Charleston for actually winning the conference tournament, so they will be going dancing. Good for them. They each won 30-something games. Like, you should get into the tournament. So congrats to them. I think Earle Roberts was up 30 at the half yesterday. So good for them. That's definitely going to be a team that has a good shot to go to the Sweet 16 and beyond. So keep an eye on them. Charleston, not sure about, but that team, of course, is going to be a very popular Sweet 16 Elite 8 pick for a double-digit seed because they won 30-something games. But looking at the card today, I'll tell you right now, I'm not laying 6 points with St. John's. I've seen St. John's too often in the Big East tournament where they just show up and they might get past the first round. Usually they're playing Georgetown for the last couple of years in the first round.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Butler's a team that's not good, but I think they're good enough to keep this game close. I just don't trust St. John's enough. I think you'll see a game that's a little bit more down to the wire. Butler kind of looks to slow the pace down. If they can limit the turnovers, which is what St. John's thrives on forcing, I think Butler can keep that game close. I know that line has kind of dropped from 6 to 5.5. So right. I am kind of keeping an eye on Butler there. But it's based on being a St. John's fan. Just from what I've seen in the past, I expect them to probably struggle in this game because they don't win many games easily in the Big East tournament. I don't think they have won many easy games over the last couple of years in this event. So I'll lean to Butler there. But I'll ask you, do you have anything college basketball related? Because we kind of just started the big conference tournaments, but you have the crappy teams playing. So you have like Wake Forest against Syracuse and stuff like that. All the great teams in the conferences haven't played yet because they have the double bye. You have any games you like today?
First of all, I'm not a big college basketball guy. Not a big NBA guy. Pick and choose my spots. I'll be honest with you, follow stuff that you say, Tim Earle, for as far as NBA goes. College basketball, I'll dabble like now, conference time and tourney time, but season time, I'm not really big at that. But I did hit on Davidson already this morning, so I'm starting off the day on a correct note. I just pulled up what I'm on. I'm on NC State. I got them at -2.5. I took Utah on the money line at -109. I'm on West Virginia. I'm on Richmond. And that's it.
So you're not into college basketball, but you have like 7 college basketball picks.
I have. I'm on Montana State.
Montana State, though, shout out to them for winning in double overtime. Anybody who had the over in that game, by the way, it was 130. Game went to double overtime. Landed 118.
Yes.
Ouch. That is not good.
Live under 129, cash. Live over 110, cash, because it went to 2 overtimes.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, yesterday, folks, if you don't, are you a big in-play bettor?
Yes. It varies on the sport, but for the most part, yes. In the NBA, I've noticed, or even in college, if a team's down double digits and you're getting a pretty decent disparity between the closing line and where the live line is, 5+ points or so. Usually, if you live bet the side, in my experience, it has actually paid off relatively well for me. So it's most of the NBA, though, because you see blown double-digit leads every single day.
All the time.
We saw the Knicks blow a 16-point lead at halftime to the Hornets yesterday. The NBA is especially true. If you jump on some underdogs getting like 14 points or 15 points, the game always seems to be within 7 points in the final 5 minutes, doesn't it?
I will say that I do a lot of hockey in play. Last 10 minutes of a third period, I can make some money there. I'm looking for, especially in over goals. I play a lot of that, looking for the empty netter type situations. But last night I was down like 4 units after hockey and everything, and then I made myself even and made 4 units up on that Weber State game double overtime last night.
Because you hit a middle.
I hit over 110, and then it went to double overtime and then I kind of started to get a little scared because I didn't think it was going to even hit the 110. It was like 50-50 or
it was bad. It was really,
it was
really
like
bad
50-50, and I'm like, there's 3 minutes left. I'm like, this game's so going over 110, and then it didn't, but it went in double overtime, and that cashed it. But then I took under 129 because I learned that this is going to be slow, and then I had Montana State. I got them at plus 100. And anyways, that particular game, 2 overtimes, got me back to even money yesterday. So if you're not an in-play bettor, there's some certain spots that you can, make it's a difference between me being down 4 units and being even for the day. So that was kind of where I'm at. 3 hockey games today, and I
think the one team I'm going out of my way to root for today, of course, being a fan of St. John's in North Carolina,
right.
Both teams are screwed. They're not going to go to the tournament, or at least they shouldn't. But of course, I'm rooting for them. The one wild card team that I am rooting for, just for chaos, I'm rooting for Northern Arizona. You know how fun it is every year to have a 13-22 team in the NCAA tournament?
Who?
Northern Arizona.
If
they win today, they'd be 13-22 and they'd make the tournament because they beat Eastern Washington and they ended up winning yesterday against Montana. So I'm rooting for the Lumberjacks because why not? 13-22 and make the NCAA tournament. That's a fun amount of chaos for me. So that's what I'm rooting for. But I don't have any actual action on the game. They've been good though. But Montana State off a double overtime game, I probably would lean to Northern Arizona plus the points. Just the double overtime game immediately with a quick turnaround, no days off in between, that does kind of concern me a little bit. Late start time.
Me a lot.
It's at 11:30. It's a late start time, but Northern Arizona, though, I mean, even they beat Idaho. Idaho stinks. I mean, they were always bad at basketball, but they lost to Weber in overtime by 1, beat Northern Colorado by 3 on the road. Even leading into the tournament, they were actually playing some decent basketball. So I think there actually might be some value on the Lumberjacks at 7.5.
I don't hate that. I just, after watching last night, I don't know. I was just I'm all of a sudden I'm a Montana State fan.
I was gonna say you watched Montana State though, so you can give us some feedback on how bad.
Right, I watched them, and I've look. They just willed themselves to that win last night, and that's usually what happens in a double overtime game. One team just gets tired, and the other team just fights harder.
Yeah.
And that's just it. That's just what happened last night. And I was like laying. Me and the wife went to bed, and that game was on. And she was like, all right, I'm going, like, we were like we watch TV at night. She's trying to find something to watch at night, fall asleep to. And I'm like, hold on. There's 2 minutes left in this game and it's in overtime. And then I ended up going in second overtime. And she's like, I just want to watch Netflix and go to sleep. And I'm like, look, the goddamn college basketball game's double overtime.
To be fair, Netflix might have been a better product than the game you watched yesterday. So
it wasn't pretty. But again, on that game, I made 4 units up, made myself even. So for me, it was great. For my wife, no, whatever.
By the way, looking at the head-to-head meetings in the regular season, they did play twice. Not by any surprise, Montana State won both because, once again, Northern Arizona is 12-22. However, they played at home for Northern Arizona. Montana State won by 15. They did play again later in the season at Montana State, and Montana State only won by 1. So the game was actually kind of competitive. So I think Northern Arizona might have some value, especially off the double overtime game for Montana State. Kind of just keeping an eye on it. But, once again, I'm also just rooting for chaos because in the Big Sky, when you're going to get a one-bid league anyway, just root for the longest shot to have a Cinderella run. Like, why not?
Yeah. How do you feel about Stanford, Utah?
I'm leaning Utah.
Let me tell you my thoughts on this. I'm a Stanford guy. Okay, just bet tree. Okay,
they're the Cardinal, but they're a tree, so sure, why not?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. But Utah, I lean Utah. It's about a pick 'em right now. I mean, shop your lines. I've seen it.
I lean to Utah too, but I'll hear your case.
I was just gonna say I just like Utah, and I don't really have a case when it comes to college basketball. Like I'm kind of trending it. I'm what have you done for me in the last week kind of situation. That's kind of where I'm at. You guys have more depth, probably know what they did 2 months ago and all this, and their coaches. And I couldn't name you a player on Utah. I could not. So that being said,
by the way, for Utah, when in doubt, if you want to name a player, just say Carlson, because he's been at Utah for like what feels like 17 years.
Oh, okay.
He's been around for a long time, Carlson. He's their starting center, but he's been around for a long time. Based on recent form, though, both teams have really not been good. Utah's lost 5 straight. Stanford's lost like 4 of their last 6 or something. Like both teams have not been good. I do think that Utah's the better team. So I'm going to lean to Utah and hope the defense kind of takes over there. But it is a bit tricky since one team's lost 5 straight. But Utah's still 10-10 in conference play. Stanford is 7-13. Do kind of want to check the injury report, though, which is important, of course, for conference tournaments especially. So let me just see quickly if there's any injuries. But I think I am going to lean to Utah. I just think that they're the better overall team slightly, even though they're both not very good.
Okay. To Tate's point, just so we're all clear on this, I'm not wearing pants.
Okay.
Compression socks and shorts. I had to go to the gym this morning, so got knee surgery coming up on the 20th. I gotta get right before knee surgery.
So how'd you injure your knee?
Fat. Okay. Just being fat and old. I've had 2 knee replacement surgeries.
I thought maybe like the Lions beat the Packers and you jumped up off the couch and you maybe landed a little bit weird. You had a Grammatica situation.
Yeah, in my mind, I like Superman punched Karen Rodgers and then knee dropped him and then beat him back over the chair or something like that. And then I messed up both my knees. That's what happened in my mind. But realistically, I'm just fat and old. And I've had in football, and I played football for years, and it just, it's just too much weight and whatever. So I've had knee replacement. Now I just have to little cleanup surgery, go in there and get some scar tissue out.
If you had a choice, what would your go-to wrestling move be?
Oh, so here's the thing.
Assuming you could do any move you wanted.
Okay, this is a great question because I've been playing with my 10-year-old on Xbox, the WWE, the 2K22, because I got it for like $10. He wanted it. And surprisingly, it's a game we can both play together.
Yeah, okay.
Right? He don't want to play just Fortnite. I'm not a Fortnite guy, right? So we're playing WWE, and I'm like old school wrestling guy. Like I'm messing with, Macho Man and Hulk Hogan, and he's coming out with Roman Reigns, and he's kicking my ass. I'm not even going to say he's 10. He works the controller way better than I do. I'm RB50. Like he's just kicking my ass. And I'm like, so, I'm not a bad sport, but I had to put him in his place. So my go-to move was just I'm a submission guy, figure 4. Like I'm surprised. That's probably, now in retrospect thinking about this, that's probably why my knees hurt, because me and my younger brother, when wrestling was like big in the 80s, we would wrestle in our bedroom and like just like pretend like jump off the top rope, or my mom caught us jumping off like our desk we had in our room or shit, but I would put my brother in the figure 4 and he would put me in the figure 4. We probably busted up my knees back then when I was like,
well, just remember though, no matter who you're wrestling or what game you're playing, the cream will always rise to the top. That's Macho Man, right?
That's the Macho Man. Oh yeah, brother, snap into a Slim Jim. Every time I see him, I want to, or on the thing, I'm like,
one of the most underrated cameos, by the way. He played the random wrestler in the beginning of Spider-Man.
Did he?
With Tobey Maguire, yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't.
That was him playing like another wrestler, but that's Macho Man.
This guy
in the movie.
Hell is freezing. Hell is not freezing over. I don't have pants on. Red Wings Hawks rivalry has been the same for a while. Yeah.
I saw somebody ask me about tennis. Somebody asked me about Isner on the money line against Nakashima. Nakashima has been horrible this year. If he was in good form, I probably would pick him, but based on how they've played lately, I think I would lean to Isner. Probably an over. I'm not expecting Isner to break much, and Nakashima, once again, has not been good. He got killed by McDonald a week or two ago. I'll probably lean to Isner in that one. My favorite tennis play for the day is going to be Jordan Thompson on the money line against Monfils at like -138 or so. The line's actually dropped a little bit, but Monfils has not played in about 7 months, suffered a serious leg injury. So I'll fade the guy who has not played in 7 months against the guy who just won a challenger event like 2 weeks ago. I think it's a good spot. Right. You always, especially for a guy who is known for his movement like Monfils, if you're coming back from a leg injury, first of all, besides the physical limitations and maybe being a bit rusty, I wonder psychologically if he's going to be as willing to run around the court and try to extend rallies, or if maybe he tries to make sure he doesn't get hurt again and maybe he takes his foot off the gas a little bit. So I'm tempted by Thompson just for the spot alone. I mean, you're mentioning how you're getting knee surgery, but of course, once you get it, you're going to have to go to physical rehab and try to work it back. And it might take you a while.
That's why I want to hurry up and get the surgery done, because the process afterwards is the longest.
I'm saying Monfils hasn't played in 7 months, not to mention he had a heel injury before that. He's also a father now, so I'm sure he's kind of had some priorities he's had to shift. I don't know. I just think it's a decent spot to fade Monfils, taking a guy in pretty good form. I also don't mind the over 2.5 sets in the Wolf and Fucsovics match, which I think is plus 140. That starts in like 10 minutes. But I like the over in that one. I think you're going to see both players have their moments. They'll balance out, and you'll probably see a competitive match. So those are my main 2 tennis plays for the Wednesday card.
I like that. Joe David mentions Western Kentucky minus 2.5. The line is moving that way. I just looked it up. It went from a pick 'em at open to now minus 2.5. 87% of the cash is on the Western Kentucky and 75% of the tickets. So
Western Kentucky, best mascot?
Oh, no, it's the Billikens. St. Louis Billikens. What the hell is a Billiken? What the hell is a Billiken?
I said
if you
mascot.
don't know what it is.
You're not a fan of like the Kool-Aid Man looking guy for Western Kentucky?
He looks like a chimpanzee meets a cartoon. He looks like something you'd see on like an 80s, 90s cartoon. Like cartoons before they were like bad cartoons. Like, not Teletubbies and shit like that.
It's like the rough draft of the Kool-Aid Man, like the first drawing before they refined it.
Face and he's blue. That's like
that's fair, but I don't mind Western Kentucky there. They beat UTEP twice in the regular season by 5 points each time. The problem is they're entering this game after scoring 33 points in an entire game against North Texas. But North Texas defensive
offense.
Yeah, North Texas has always been a very good defensive team. They play one of the slowest paces in the country every year. But based on the regular season, I think there's value on Western Kentucky because they won both meetings by 5. So I probably would agree with you there. They're not going to be that bad, again, offensively. I think my main point was they might be a little bit undervalued because the last showing, they only scored 33 points. They might be undervalued because of it. So I don't mind that play as well. I think if you want to go based on regular season trends or meetings, which I don't mind for conference tournament play, there's probably some value on Western Kentucky. And historically speaking, they're one of the better programs in that conference.
That's fair. I love the Red Wings today because I'm a homer, 1. 2, because everybody, I think, looks at that and says, oh, it's Blackhawks money line too.
I want Stalock in net. Anytime you have 35 saves and a shutout, I think you actually have some value as a goalie. So he was pretty good. They got outshot by 15 or so, but they won 5-0. But Stalock's been pretty good. The issue is without Kane, their power play sucks. They don't have any weapons. That's really the problem. But Detroit has more weapons. The issue is recently their defense has fallen off a cliff. So
I mean,
just being honest.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you can tell that once they signed Larkin, when they lost those 2 games in Ottawa back to back, they signed Larkin right after that. And then I think Steve Yzerman told them, look, like, we're not making any, we'll start trade deadline, try to make it, trading some stuff away and whatever. As far as the numbers on that game, it's the least amount of money bet on out of the 3 hockey games. The line went from minus 255 to minus 225. 77% of the money is on Chicago.
Hang on a second. The Red Wings opened up at 255?
255, and now it's down 225. That's what I'm saying. It's obscenely overpriced. But I don't think they lose. Like, I get the value on the Blackhawks, but you could put it at plus 2,000 and it would be great value, but I don't think they win. I just don't.
Personally, I think the Blackhawks actually have a decent chance of winning. I just think that this game, you said 130 is where you probably would price it.
I'd give them like a 70. Like I'll go 60-40 shot. 60% Detroit. I'll give the Chicago legitimately a 40% chance at winning.
I would give Detroit 70-30 if it was 2 weeks ago, but based on recent form, I think it's probably closer to like 55% Red Wings, maybe like 53%. I think it's close because Detroit has actively tried to just wave the flag on the season.
Yes. So I will give you that. I mean, there's some home bias for me as a Red Wing fan, so that's why I probably go to 60-40. It's probably closer to 55-45.
There's no chance I'd want to lay with the Red Wings right now. That's how I'll phrase it that way. I would not want to lay a money line price in the minus territory with Detroit. So Detroit's a complete stay away automatically for me.
I sprinkled puck line at plus 105 ish on the puck line at minus 1.5. I'm hoping that the recency bias trends kind of go out, and it's just two original 6 teams that want to battle the hell out of each other. Like I said, the favorite play of the game is just the over 5.5, but 55% of the tickets, 77% of the money are on Chicago. It's a great value play. It's a system play for most people.
I might throw it in some long shot money line parlay today. I'll throw in like Blackhawks with maybe Northern Arizona for the hell of it. The 11:30 parlay finisher.
I think Minnesota at plus money is a great value.
I want nothing to do with Winnipeg either. I mean, they're in a different scheduling spot, which isn't a fun one because not only are they off an overtime game, they're also traveling to Canada, so it's not exactly a great scheduling spot. But I hate that Winnipeg team so much.
Well, you also got like Minnesota opened at Winnipeg minus 133. Now they're minus 143. So the number's going up, but 52% of the money and 51% of the tickets are on Minnesota, and the line's moving more towards Winnipeg. That kind of says Minnesota for me. But with hockey, it's not like college basketball when Allie Burns gives you her breakdown. Hockey, you kind of got to wait till later. There's not a lot of money on hockey right now. It's not – you don't get that – you don't get the public bets on hockey till later in the day.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what I mean? So
as an Islanders fan, by the way, I am so annoyed Columbus blew a 4-goal lead last night to Pittsburgh. I am so annoyed that happened.
No. Chris Johnson, I shouldn't say no last Woody today. Not on the show, there's no last Woody. I would, to cover your own ass, I'm going to tell a public service announcement, 32 minutes in, mark
do
time.
It on Facebook.
Here's my PSA. Yeah, put it on Facebook. Put it on Facebook. Cover your own butt because it's her contest. It's her rules. If she comes in here tomorrow and says, no, there was a contest. You didn't put it on Facebook. You're out. That's it. If she says maybe there's just not one today, I don't know what to tell you, but I don't know.
Either way, I see Tate asking if I'm going to have any props for the NBA. I was supposed to do I was going to save it for the prop show. I don't know if we're going to have it now. I'm going to have to call Allie and ask, so stay tuned for that. But if I have basketball props, it would be on that show, but I don't know if we're having that show. So I'm going to call her and I'll find out.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to I'll text her or call her afterwards, or I don't know. I'll figure it out where she's at. I'm sure she's around. Trust me. NBA
busy. Wait, I'm trying to remember. She said she was going to Disney, but I don't remember when. I think that's this weekend.
That's Friday because I'm supposed to.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, because Julie Carly.
I don't know.
Julie Carly texts me and says, "Are you supposed to do Allie Burns' show today?" And I'm like, "No." Wait, am I? No, wait, Friday. No, Friday. She's going for the weekend. Today's only Wednesday. And then I had to rethink hey, maybe it's me. Maybe I just didn't know what day it was. It was a very physical game. It wasn't.
Look, it can be physical when you're in the shot clock era and you barely get to 50, like with involving 2 overtimes, it's bad basketball. I'm sorry. If you have a shot clock in there, I don't care how physical the game is. You got to put the ball in the basket. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Breaking Vegas says he likes Ole Miss minus 5.5. The under in the State and Wisconsin game, Ohio State.
I find it weird Ohio State's favored today. I get they've played better lately, but it's mostly been at home. Wisconsin, they're going to need to win this game and probably beating Iowa in order to make the tournament. And even then, I'm not sure if they're going to actually be able to make the tournament. But I find it weird Ohio State's favored by 2 in a neutral when Wisconsin's been the better team for the majority of the season. I went to the school, so I root for the team. I don't like their team. I think that they're an awful offensive basketball team. I'm not a fan of Greg Gard. I think he's not a great coach. But Ohio State's missing Key, who's been one of their best players all season long. They've been better lately, but once again, mostly at home. They're not a good team. I find it weird Wisconsin's getting points. Doesn't that seem a bit weird?
I don't follow Big Ten basketball like I follow Big Ten football.
I don't blame
I can tell you, like, the numbers, it's going the right way that Wisconsin should be favored. It's opened at a 1. Now it's -2.
-2 for Ohio State, right?
Ohio State, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The line seems very trappy to me.
Yeah. See, like it does, because 56% of the money is on Wisconsin and 61% of the tickets, but that line moved from -1 to -2. That's not a lot of line movement, but it shouldn't be going up if everybody's betting on Wisconsin.
I think that game's going to be close anyway. I see it coming down to the wire because it feels like every Wisconsin game comes down to the wire.
Some weird stuff. The total might be the better play here, that under 133, like Daniel Henderson says here.
The only concern I have with totals in conference tournament play and NCAA tournament play is when teams are about to end their season, they will start fouling with 2.5 minutes to go, down like 15.
That's fair.
Just to savor all the moments. The first half unders have actually done very well in conference play. I believe somebody posted it on Twitter. I want to say first half unders in conference play so far in conference tournaments are 58%, I think. I think they're 58% for first half unders in conference tournaments of the season. So if you blindly take in first half unders, you've actually done quite well in the conference tournaments.
James Mounts coming through. The Billiken is a mythical good luck figure who represents things as they ought to be. Before he was St. Louis Junior, his mascot was a national sensation. All right.
I think my favorite mascot's Sister Jean.
I mean, come on.
She was there. She was at the game yesterday when they lost to St. Joseph.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my Catholic parlay didn't go through yesterday. I know
how many teams were in the Catholic parlay?
Just 2. I just did St. Mary's and Notre Dame. I wasn't gonna go. And
that was a brutal loss by Notre Dame, by the way. They just handed that game over.
I mean, I had them with points though.
I'm just saying in general, like they were winning. They should have won that. They blew that game in the final 2-3 minutes. That was rough.
Worst mascot is a Buckeye. It's a freaking nut that they made into a psycho-looking stuffed animal.
I still don't even understand the Ohio State mascot there.
Nobody understands anything that happens in Ohio.
That's why you got the Ohio memes, because nobody understands what the hell goes on.
Nobody understands this shit. The Q's game is going to come down to free throws, and I see a bad beat coming one way.
And that might be an interesting mascot too that I think is kind of dumb. You really named your school the Orange?
Yeah, like you just picked a color. I think the Cleveland Browns, same thing. You just picked a cut and a shit brown. Like, I mean, you didn't pick you picked brown.
Yeah, but it's like half, because they also refer to themselves as like the dog pounds. They kind of pivoted more to like an animal.
I get
the Syracuse mascot's a fruit. Like you're trying to intimidate people with vitamin C. Like what? I just don't understand that whole concept. But whatever. Bad mascots. I gotta mention the only one that's a fruit. I feel like that's a pretty weird one.
That is bad. I mean, and I like oranges. Don't get me wrong.
It's Syracuse. It's like -10 in the winter. Nothing grows. Right now,
but I'm just saying.
In the winter in Syracuse, nothing's gonna grow. You think you can grow oranges for half the year in Syracuse? Like, no, it doesn't. That doesn't make any sense. But whatever.
That's fair. Go Blackhawks. I think we can agree on the over in the Blackhawks win. Yeah,
I'm
over
to the
5.5.
Yeah.
And I watched this game end up like 1-0 or some shit. Do you have any player props for the National Blowout Association?
I have a couple, but once again, I was going to save it for the show, but I don't know if we're having a show, so I'm going to have to get back to you on that one.
Yeah, I have to get back on that. Dallas -2.5. Okie dokie, he says. Brandon's rambling. She's going to do Dad's Friday. You're going to be up front.
What's your thoughts on mascots that have nothing to do with the actual name of the team? There are a couple of those. Like the Islanders, for example, for hockey, it's just Sparky the Dragon. I've never seen a dragon in Long Island.
Well, I mean,
that's just a thing, I guess.
I have seen a lion in Detroit, not in the zoo, by the way. But, you know, drug dealers do weird shit.
Mike Tyson had a lion, so or it was a tiger. Mike Tyson had a lion or a tiger? It was a tiger. Never mind.
Tight, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm trying to think. I mean, anybody with any kind of like bird, like like a peacock or not a peacock or any kind of weird feathery shit. I'm not a big I'm a fan of like an obscure, the Billikens. I'm a fan of that kind of logo.
The Chanticleers.
Huh?
The Chanticleers.
Yeah, the Chanticleers. Like, I don't even I just want that on a shirt.
Mm-hmm.
The plans are game day. Oh wait, he goes, holy crap! She did make a comment about being taken on a show. Maybe it happened off camera. Someone check on Allie. Brad, go now. The plans are game day.
Ted, I said that before. The Stanford Cardinal, and they're a tree. I mean, they were in one of the best This Is Sports Center commercials, though, when it's like Jason Hayward talking about the laser with the bat, and you see the Stanford mascot getting cut down in the background with the chainsaw.
Yeah,
that's a fun one.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Red Wings, I don't think we do have Al the Octopus. Yeah, he's fun. He's it represented at the time when the Octopus for Detroit came around, the 8 teams in the NHL. And that's how many you had. I'm sorry, not the 8 teams in the NHL, the 8 games you had to win to win
the original
the 6.
Cup.
The original 6.
Yeah,
you had the playoffs used to be in the original 6. You had to win 8 games to win the Stanley Cup. So the Octopus 8 legs, and then we named him Al. I don't know how he gave him Al.
It also explains why the Canadiens have like 20-something championships, because they've been around for a long time. But
yeah, it's
also why I roast the Rangers all the time as an Islanders fan. Of course, I'm naturally supposed to hate the Rangers, but when you're one of the teams that have been around for an eternity and you have the same amount of championships as the Islanders who showed up like 30, 40 years later, I'm going to roast your franchise for being overrated. That's kind of how it goes.
I mean, yeah. I can get behind trees. I mean, if they're smokable. What hospital are you doing your knee surgery at? I don't even think it's at a hospital. I think it's at one of those like surgery center thingies. I don't know. That's my wife question. Brad, she's my wifager. She handles all my schedule. I don't even know what today was. That's going to be it for us, though. We're over time, and Allie not here. So,
Wake Forest blew it. All right, you got a tie game with like 6 seconds to go.
Oh, did they? Shit.
Yep. Now's
the live time. Overs, or under. Where are we at on a live total?
I don't even know if you get those for overtime. Wake Forest hit a 3. All right, so Syracuse is probably going to lose.
Oh, damn. All right, guys. That's going to do it for us. We appreciate everybody. Tell Mandy you said, what's up? All right.
Yeah, I will. I'll give her a call.
Yeah, you do that. 3, we're going to bounce on out of here. We appreciate everybody stopping by, hitting the thumbs up button. I'm sure Allie will be here tomorrow for Morning Wood. Talk to you guys later. Take care. Thank Scott Reichel for stopping in as well and going over everything. We'll see you guys on the next one. Good luck unless you're against me.